Welcome to Second Saturday. I'm your host, Professor Alfonso Severos. Since the early 90s, fraternities and sorority has played a significant role in the college life of African American students. Especially at historical black colleges, many of us know at least one person that participated in a fraternity or a sorority during their college life. Today's discussion is about alumni chapters of black fraternities and sororities. Many may be surprised to know that alumni chapters play a significant role in the communities of people of color. Joining me today at the table is my special guest, Mr. Steve Travis. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Now, you have been a member of a fraternity for how many years?
36 years.
36 years.
Yeah.
And so you started when you were first year in college?
Yes, I pledged in my second semester, first year in college.
And that was at what school?
That was at Brooklyn College.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The original chapter of Brooklyn College started in 1940, and it had sort of dissolved for a little while, and then it picked itself back up, or picked up again in the late 70s.
And what fraternity is this?
This is Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated.
Sigmas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now you're an active member in the graduate chapter.
Absolutely. The graduate chapter is called Kappa Beta Sigma chapter, better known as Brooklyn Sigmas. And what we do is we try to provide a lot of different services, not only within the community, but just within the country at large. I mean, in terms of what we do in Brooklyn, is we try to provide volunteer services for some of our national initiative programs, things like voter registration drives, things like helping the March of Dimes, and also Alzheimer's Association, a number of different things that we have as national initiatives that we do. Every Thanksgiving, we feed the homeless. We provide toy drives for children. We also mentor young men in our community. There are a lot of services that we provide on a regular basis.
I know, what was it, about a year and a half ago, I went to an event that you guys sponsored in Bedford-Stuyvesant. It was a health fair, and I was very impressed. It was very impressive to see a group of well-educated, dedicated young black men volunteering their time for such a wonderful cause like the health and well-being of residents of Bed-Stuy. How did that come about?
Well,
the Bed-Stuy project.
That project was something that we had partnered with one of the local churches. It's called Siloam Presbyterian Church. And with that organization, what we did was we set up a health fair that focused on HIV and hepatitis C and providing those kinds of screenings, branching out to other kinds of screenings for the community, blood pressure screenings, glucose screenings, and other kinds of different health initiatives that we could help provide both information and also screenings with for the community. We provided information on kidney disease through an ESRD program. We provided a number of different health kinds of conscious information on nutrition, things about your health as far as exercise. We provided demonstrations on yoga. We provided demonstrations on Zumba. We just tried to give the community a taste of the kinds of things that would really be helpful for them to know and to understand about how they can have a better and a healthier life.
Wonderful. One of the reasons I wanted to cover this topic in this show is that so many people have misinformation, misconceptions about sororities and fraternities, in particular black sororities and fraternities, and many don't know about the projects that you guys are involved in. Especially the community service projects like the one you just mentioned, the health fair. And I know there's a major problem among African Americans and Latinos with hepatitis C. And that's a well-kept secret, and people do not get screened. So kudos for that.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Now, this chapter, this is the Brooklyn chapter. Are there other chapters in the city of New York? What is the breakdown of these graduate chapters? Before we start that,
okay.
How does one join a graduate or alumni chapter of a fraternity or a sorority? Do we have to be in one?
Well, what standardly happens is that most people, when they're in undergraduate school, when they're in college, what they do is they join the fraternity or sorority then. And then what they do is when they get out of school, depending on where they land in terms of the country, then they would seek out an alumni chapter in the region that they're living in. And then they would join that chapter. Standardly, if you are not a part of any fraternal organization, what you can do is go to your local alumni chapter, talk to them about what it takes in order to join, and then they will give you the information based on what our national initiatives are, and then you will be put through an initiation process that will land you into the organization itself. In terms of what the requirements are, one of the things that we're looking for is some history with college life in some way or another. But and so what we do is we consult what our bylaws say in reference to what it takes in order to become a member. But once you do that, you are allowed to be an active member of our organization.
So you don't have to be a person who was active in a fraternity during college.
No, not at all. Not at all. There are many members that we have that come to our organization after they've already graduated from college and have already started their own professional lives.
So it doesn't matter what school you went to.
Not at all. Not at all.
I mentioned to you before the show that my brother, who's about 56, just joined a fraternity, a black fraternity. And he was really impressed with the kind of community service work they did, similar to what you guys are doing, and also with the network opportunity in terms of networking with people who have similar interests on business and business building and other professional areas.
What I've found in my fraternity, at least especially in the chapter that I belong to, is that we have so many different people from so many walks of life. I mean, we have lawyers, we have people who are in medical school, we have people who work in city government. I mean, we have just so many different and so many varied careers. And we sit around and we talk to each other, and we find common ground on things that we like to do in terms of certain projects that we want to create and undergo, things that may service our community. Somebody may have the know-how. Somebody may have the background knowledge of being able to tell us how to spearhead, some of these goals that we're trying to achieve. And it really works out well because even in business, we are able to move forward. We provide scholarship funds. I mean, we do a tremendous amount of things. We have actually a mentoring program. We have a group called the Sigma Betas, which is a group of kids who are between the ages of 9 and 17. And we try to mentor them through the process of them growing up so that they would have some direction. We involve them in different programs. We involve them in different activities. And it's pretty rigorous. And a lot of parents are really excited and also happy about their involvement in these programs because, with kids nowadays, sometimes their interests are a little distracted by other things. And this actually gives them some guidance and some focus.
It's so great that you're sharing this information because usually on conventional media, you won't hear this. You won't find out about a group of black males collectively providing a positive atmosphere for younger black children, and I'm really impressed with that kind of activity.
I'm glad to hear that. I mean, this is something that's really important to all of us, and the reason why we all become partners in this is because we feel it's really, really important. One of the other things and one of the other programs that we have is we have what we call First Saturdays, and what we do is we go to the Brooklyn Public Library, and we just read to the kids. On a Saturday morning, we go in. We have an agreement with the library, so we get a room that we can go into, and any children that are there that are interested with their parents, they come into the room and we read stories to them in the morning.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. I am 100% supporters of libraries. I remember when we grew up in the same housing projects, the Marcy projects. But I remember when I grew up, I spent hours in the library. That was my escape.
Yeah.
I mean, I traveled around the world without leaving Brooklyn in the library. I fought in wars, World War One. I know what it did for me. So I understand its value.
Yeah.
Now, you brought some pictures of some of the activity.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So why don't we put some of these pictures up and take a look? This first picture.
All right, well, this first picture was a picture that we had taken during an anti-bullying event that we had done. We had gotten together with the Brooklyn Academy in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, and set aside some time and invited parents and children in the community. And we had a session that talked about different anti-bullying events that were going on in schools. We tried to have breakout sessions with kids to talk about those things, to see how they could navigate themselves through different situations that they might encounter in school, either through computer or also interacting with other children. And then we tried to provide breakout sessions for parents so that if they saw themselves or their children involved in bullying, how to notice the signs and also to know what they should do if they notice those signs in their children. It was really interesting.
Such a powerful message in that picture of black males speaking to bullying and to younger black children. That's a powerful image. Let's look at the second picture.
This picture is a picture of one of the events that we had held, and this was about the health fair that we talked about earlier.
Right.
Right, and so this was at Siloam Presbyterian Church right outside, and we were actually with one of the a local council person who actually came by to support our event as well. We had provided, again, HIV and hepatitis screenings, blood pressure screenings, glucose screenings. We provided a lot of information on nutrition, kidney disease, and just a number of different things to help the community understand how they could live a healthier life through some of the types of screenings and the programs we were providing that day.
Right. You block off the streets, and it's like it's a community involvement.
Yeah, it is. We try to, one of the things about a program like that is you try to get an idea of how many people are participating. But because it's a transitory program, people come in, they gather information, and sometimes they leave.
Right.
Sometimes it's hard to know how many people come in. But these events are usually very well attended. We provide food, we provide music, and we provide different things that would help people to feel comfortable coming in and staying around for a while so that they could take advantage of all of the kinds of information that we're providing and all the screenings that we're providing on that day.
Absolutely wonderful. Let's look at the next picture. Wow.
This is one of my favorite events. This is the March of Dimes event. And what we do is every year, the March of Dimes is a national initiative of our national organization. And so almost every chapter that we have throughout the country supports the March of Dimes by getting involved in their event to do the March of Dimes Walk for Babies. And so in this particular picture, what we were doing was we were volunteering with the March of Dimes that day. And how we standardly did it in our Brooklyn chapter is we partner with Dunkin' Donuts. And what we do is we volunteer with them and we hand out breakfast to all of the people that are going to be walking on that day. So what we do is we help with the setup, we help with supplying, the coffee, the hot chocolate, the donuts, and then what we do is we do the breakdown. And then after we are finished with all of that, then we as a group, we participate in the walk as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, in the March of Dimes, that's an organization that addresses birth defects in general.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Across the board, that affects not only blacks, but every other ethnic group, every other racial group.
Absolutely. And what we do as a chapter is we have a certain target amount that we're going to raise as a chapter that we're going to donate to the March of Dimes. And so what we do is we do everything we can to try to raise that money, both amongst ourselves and then outside of our fraternity as a whole. We go to our places of employment, we try to get our family members, and we try to get sponsors everywhere we can to help us raise those amounts of money for the March of Dimes.
Now, you said this is a national initiative.
Absolutely.
So this will involve approximately how many chapters?
Well, I can't tell you off the top of my head how many chapters.
Yeah.
I know our fraternity boasts about 150,000 members.
Wow.
And so
that's impressive.
And so those are collegiate members as well as alumni members. And what we do is every chapter and every locale, they are impressed, or at least given the duty of participating with the March of Dimes. So every March of Dimes event that goes on around the country, we are there, we are participating, and we are raising money for that event.
And you're also global.
Absolutely. We are global. We have chapters in Korea, we have chapters in Ghana, we have chapters around the world.
And that's not just only true for the Sigmas, that's true for other black fraternities and black sororities. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So much and so little we know about the activities of our own people.
Yeah.
Can we look at the next slide?
One of the national initiatives that we were actually involved in this year, specifically because of, well, voting is an important thing, and one of our members, actually, Congressman John Lewis, actually was a historic figure in us being able to obtain the right to vote.
Absolutely, SNCC.
And so what we do is, and what we did this year was we put out a national initiative to actually raise the consciousness of people, but also to do voters registration drives. And so our chapter took it on this year to do a voters registration drive every month of the year, so that we can raise the consciousness in the community, and also to see if we can get as many people as possible registered to vote. And we've done some really, really impressive things as it related to voting.
Good.
Yeah.
I think that may be the last picture, or is there one more? Oh, there is.
Yeah, this was an effort that happened where we were contacted because of our reputation with the March of Dimes by the Alzheimer's Association, and they asked would we come out and help them by volunteering with both setups and also with registration. And so we gathered some brothers and we went out there actually last week at Cadman Plaza in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And what we did was we, got out there with all of the people. And it was a really great day. It was so well attended, and it was such a huge event.
Sure.
And people were really grateful just to have us out there, and just to be able to be a part of that organization and to do some of the wonderful things that they do.
As a person whose mother had that particular disease, and I know the havoc that it can cause, not only on the person having the disease, but on the family members taking care of that person, that any help that any organization or person does is greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
So
One of the things that I recognize about that event was that I was doing some registration, and there were many families who were coming to walk as a family and had raised a tremendous amount of money for that organization to help in the efforts to try to stomp out Alzheimer's.
yeah. Hopefully one day they'll find a cure.
Yeah, I agree.
That's amazing work. And that's these kinds of works that fraternities and sororities are constantly and continuously doing is not in the media. It's not out there. People don't necessarily know it.
No, they don't. They don't. I'm not exactly sure why. Our organizations are always out there, and they have been for, I mean, since the beginning of the 1900s.
Sure.
I don't know. We're always doing these kinds of things. We're doing public works. We're engaging in different levels of our communities, different levels of government. I mean, we can boast, several members in Congress. I mean, we can do so many things in terms of who our organization is, but at the same time, the notoriety is not there. But I think that for ourselves, what we're looking for is just to make a change and make a difference in the communities of color that we serve, and also the communities at large. Because of what our motto,
In thinking, so much of the black fraternity life is strongly rooted in the historical black colleges. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but a significant percentage of the students attending historical black colleges were from the South.
A lot of them are.
And so that interest, that understanding, that continuation in terms of tradition, in terms of not only just attending a school, but joining a fraternity that my father might have been and mother, is much stronger in the South than it is in the North.
What I find is that in the South, you're right, it is a tradition, and there were people that joined our organization who were what we call legacies. You know, they were people whose dads were a part of the organization, and they themselves wanted to be a part of that same organization. What I find is that in the North, you know, it is something that people are emulating because our organization has
Sure.
grown throughout,
Absolutely.
you know, the North as well. And so you find some of those same traits and some of those same
Sure.
characteristics now starting to happen in the North and now starting to happen in bigger and broader schools. A lot of white schools have black fraternal organizations.
Yes.
However, there is a real strength in black fraternities in you know, HBCUs. You
Just
know,
that brotherhood that you just can't capture. My niece and nephew, my niece, Veronica's daughter, there was no doubt, and she could have went to any school in the country, but she had no doubt. She didn't want to hear it. It was Spelman or die.
wow, wow, and
And
that is a school with a very
she
strong
hasn't been
history.
north since. She graduated. She went down there, graduated, and that's it. Home is Atlanta.
Wow,
And her brother, Oscar, first went to a pretty prestigious white institution and just couldn't fit in. And he's a Howard man.
wow.
Graduated from Howard.
And interestingly enough, Howard University is actually the founding school of our organization.
Yeah.
January 9th, 1914 was the year that we were founded. And actually, at our centennial, at our 100th anniversary, we actually went to Howard and put up a monument on Howard's
Wow,
campus to
wow.
our fraternity.
People don't realize the importance of Howard University.
Oh,
There
it's
was a
extremely
time
important.
that the doctors, and not that long ago, every African American doctor, 99% of them graduated from either one or two black medical schools.
Absolutely.
That was it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. My dentist, my current dentist, is a graduate of Howard University
Yeah,
and took his dentistry courses there.
yeah. And you know, most majority of African Americans in the North has a history in the South.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the things that we paid a price coming north because we disconnected ourselves from that history, that sense of community. And we had to develop communities because of the institution of segregation.
Yeah. I agree.
So we had our own everything. And because we couldn't use the others.
Yeah, yeah,
And-
and I think that fraternities played a strong role in
Exactly.
that because they
Exactly.
provided the networking, you know,
Exactly.
that black people needed in order to find and to branch out and to expand on their own careers and also their own businesses.
Right.
You know, so it was really important that those fraternities were in place.
And that networking, in terms of a business sense, it's a supportive network, not a competitive network.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that's impressive. The more I see blacks, the graduate chapters of black sororities and black fraternities, the more I'm impressed. And the more I realize the need to have those images out there that blacks, young blacks can see this band of brotherhood, this band of sisterhood among, you know, some educated minority people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We do a tremendous amount because of that level of service that we grow with in our organization to not only serve within our fraternity, but to serve it within our community as a whole.
Sure.
And whether that be politically, whether that be, you know, in terms of our own neighborhoods, our own
Sure.
communities, and trying to provide different kinds of advantages that we have been provided that we may be able to provide for the community as a whole.
Yeah. Wow, that's I can't get enough of it. What can I tell you? You know, I believe in this idea that we have to create our own positive images
We
for
do.
young people to take in. And we can't let them constantly be bombarded with negative self-defeating images.
I agree.
And that offer ridiculous options. Like, I'll say it, but you know, the title to that movie, Get Rich or Die.
Yes,
That is
exactly.
not what life's about.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not.
you know. But if you're impressionable and you're young and that's what you're exposed to and that's what your friends are exposed to, then that's what you have a tendency to incorporate and believe.
I agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
so there is definitely a need for what the Sigmas and every other fraternity and sorority is doing.
Yeah. One of the other things that we've done too, as well, is that we've networked with each other. You know, although we are separate organizations, you know, you'll find events where Sigmas are involved with the Deltas, or Sigmas are involved with Sigma Gamma Rho, or Sigmas are involved with Alphas, Qs, Kappas. I mean, our organizations primarily are doing a lot of the same things, and because we want to promote that kind of community service, we have a tendency of working together to provide that same message.
Well, Steve, we can go on and on and on, but it's that time.
All right,
I
sir.
want to thank you for being here.
It's my absolute pleasure.
And
Anytime,
I want to
Alfonso.
thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's show. I hope you found it informative. And I hope it shined a different light on fraternities and sororities, especially black fraternities and sororities and their graduate chapters. And if you are a person that may be interested in getting involved, it's only a Google stop away. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next second Saturday. Good.